A Mortal's Journey to Immortality episode 347. In the previous episode, tensions quietly escalated as hidden schemes unfolded behind the scenes of the grand auction. The Ye Clan prepared their trap with ruthless precision, masking their true intentions behind the lure of a powerful treasure. Meanwhile, the Heavenly Devil Sect and the High Zenith Sect were drawn in by rumors, exactly as planned. Unaware of these deeper plots, Han Li focused solely on perfecting his snow crystal pearl before slipping into the bustling West Jin market under a flawless disguise. Though the Yin Sifting Sect hunted him relentlessly, their efforts faltered as he moved undetected. Soon, he entered the prestigious Nine Firmaments Hall, where only nascent soul cultivators gathered for the long-awaited auction. At the end of the previous episode, hundreds of powerful cultivators took their seats as 3 resonant bell chimes announced the beginning of the grand event. What will happen next? Stay tuned. And the story continues. Han Li sat in a desolate corner of the hall and indifferently glanced at a middle-aged man wearing black robes standing at the front 300 meters away. He held a faint yellow crystal and gave the item a simple introduction. He listened without emotion as the auction conductor presented the turmeric crystal. The man spoke clearly, explaining that the crystal came from deep beneath the sands of the western desert of Nanzhang. That it was extremely durable, and that it contained abundant earth attribute spiritual energy. It served as a valuable refining material for earth-aligned magic treasures. The opening bid was 8,000 spirit stones, with each raise set at 1,000. Han Li observed the room with calm detachment. The conductor, though speaking very simply, was no ordinary auctioneer. His cultivation was at the peak of the mid-nascent soul stage. And this alone stabilized the atmosphere. With several hundred cultivators present, each possessing formidable spiritual sense, the pressure in the hall would have overwhelmed anyone weaker. Under the guidance of such a powerful figure, no one dared to cause trouble. Though the turmeric crystal was rare, there were only a few bidders. Eventually, the item was sold for 12,000 spirit stones to an unknown cultivator. Other items followed, each moderately interesting, but nothing truly exceptional. Han Li sat back, indifferent. He knew the rhythm of such auctions well. The first day always offered only minor treasures, priced well enough to tempt cultivators who needed them, while the true treasures would be saved until later, when more powerful guests arrived. Only at the end of the first day would the atmosphere truly heat up. To draw attention toward the next session, he allowed the auction to continue without paying full attention. Instead, studying the crowd, these hundreds represented only a fraction of the strongest cultivators of the Great Jin Empire. But even a fraction meant the highest powers of every faction and sect. Among them, 3 unusual figures caught his eye. They were Buddhist monks, each wearing gray robes, and they sat together with quiet dignity. One was thin, another was plump, and the third had a peaceful appearance, with long white facial hair. None of them lifted their heads. Han Li watched them closely. He had never seen high-grade Buddhist cultivators before. Those sects rivaled the Taoist and Confucian schools in the empire, and their spiritual methods were profound. The one in the center seemed the oldest. When the monk finally looked up, their gazes met for an instant. The monk's expression appeared gentle, yet Han Li felt a deep tremor in his heart. Not wishing to provoke any unintended hostility, he immediately withdrew his spiritual sense and relaxed his expression. The old monk simply returned to his quiet posture, as if nothing had happened. There were several other strange figures among the crowd as well, people clearly belonging to the empire's most influential forces. Han Li mentally compared their appearances to the intelligence he had gathered, knowing who they were might be useful later. Time passed. Item after item was sold. Near the end of the session, the atmosphere changed. Suddenly, the entire hall awakened with energy. Because the valuable items were finally beginning to appear, cultivators bid fiercely, announcing prices without hesitation. For nascent soul cultivators, a rare material found today might never appear again in their lifetime. Then, the conductor revealed another treasure, a chunk of ebony gold, weighing 2 kilograms. He explained it was a rare material for refining tools, especially powerful magic treasures. The opening bid was 30,000 spirit stones, with each increase set at 2,000. It appeared as a pitch-black lump of metal, glowing faintly with a golden light. The moment Han Li saw the item, his heart tightened and a sharp light flashed in his eyes. He had been searching for ebony gold for a long time, and had not expected to see it here. Before he even moved, the bidding rose sharply. Several cultivators called out high prices. Only after the bidding slowed did Han Li raise his jade plate and announce his bid. He remained patient. If he bid too early, it would only excite the competition. He waited until one cultivator called out 60,000 spirit stones, and the hall fell silent. Then Han Li calmly raised the price to 65,000. An opposing voice immediately countered with 67,000. Though with hesitation, Han Li raised again, 70,000. That price silenced the other bidder. Ebony gold was precious, but to compete further would be unwise. The bidder accepted defeat. Just as the conductor prepared to confirm the sale, a cold voice suddenly cut through the hall. 75,000 spirit stones. Everyone turned in surprise. Han Li quickly recovered from his shock and raised the price again, 80,000. The mysterious voice countered, 82,000. The crowd focused their attention on the challenger. In the back sat an old cultivator hidden behind a dark mist. His features were difficult to see, but his posture showed determination. Han Li could not understand this sudden competition, but he did not waste time. With a heavy tone, he called out his final price, 120,000 spirit stones. The entire hall erupted in disbelief. Such a price could buy an ancient treasure, far beyond the normal value of the metal. Countless eyes turned toward Han Li, but he had disguised himself as a pale, unfamiliar cultivator. No one recognized him. The old man hidden in black mist remained silent. To spend more spirit stones would endanger his chance to acquire an even more crucial material. His opponent clearly had no intention of surrendering. He finally gave up the bidding. The conductor happily completed the sale in Han Li's favor. This fierce bidding drew attention across the hall, linking both mysterious competitors in the minds of the audience. Afterwards, nothing else interested Han Li. He rested quietly, satisfied with his purchase. Later, the old man in black mist won a far rarer material called fire part sand. The price rose beyond 200,000 spirit stones before he claimed it. Though shocking, he was not the highest spender. Near the end, ancient treasures and potent medicines reached prices greater than 300,000 spirit stones. Still, spending over 200,000 spirit stones on refining materials alone was highly unusual. The first day ended, and the crowd dispersed. Han Li left calmly. The group from the Yin Sifting Sect no longer waited outside the market. They had given up watching him. He smiled faintly and returned to his Taoist residence. Meanwhile, the mysterious man cloaked in dark mist returned to a quiet house in the capital. Inside, an old man wearing a black hat from the Ye Clan waited. Without speaking, the cloaked man presented the fire part sand. The old man accepted it with satisfaction. He spoke warmly, explaining that he already knew about the ebony gold, and praised his companion's efforts. He admitted he had not expected such extreme competition. Otherwise he would have provided even more spirit stones. But fortunately, more ebony gold would appear in a separate underground auction soon. He had already investigated the price and prepared the payment. When the time came, he would need his companion to make the purchase again. Taoist Gao, the man in black mist, laughed awkwardly. He explained that Yun Yi had already given him ample spirit stones. But he feared he would fail to obtain the fire part sand. It had been an unexpected outcome. Of course, he would attend the underground auction. Yun Yi nodded, relieved. He produced a jade box and offered a precious medicinal pill as a reward. After the matter was settled, he promised to give several more. Taoist Gao inspected the pill happily, then accepted a storage pouch filled with spirit stones, along with a jade slip listing the items to be bought on the next day. He departed at once. Yes, since you keep your promises, I will strive to do my best. Old man Gao happily examined the pill in the box and nodded as well. Then, he took a storage pouch of spirit stones from the old man as well as a jade slip detailing the items to be bought at the auction on the next day before departing. When Yun Yi saw old man Gao leave the building, his smile disappeared. Yin Yi also had met with 2 vagrant core formation cultivators after nightfall. They both traded a few materials for rewards and departed happily. Yun Yi's expression dimmed the moment Gao stepped beyond the threshold. The warm courtesy he had shown vanished as if it had never existed. His eyes narrowed with calculation, showing his true thoughts now that no one remained to observe him. Elsewhere in the city, Yin Yi quietly completed his business, exchanging treasured materials with 2 wandering cultivators. The meeting was simple, swift, and left all parties content as they departed into the night. While the Ye clan moved in secret, Han Li was unaware of any of it. In the following days, he continued to arrive early at the 9 Firmaments Hall, hopeful after securing ebony gold on the first day of the auction. He still required several rare materials, and his expectations gradually increased as the grand auction approached its final day. But despite his hopes, Old Man Fu's earlier words proved true. Over the next several days, no treasure of the same level appeared. The rare items displayed were few. Most of them completed magic treasures instead of raw materials. It seemed the ebony gold had been a fortunate coincidence, a stroke of luck rather than something he could rely on. Recognizing this, Han Li shifted his focus. The grand auction might not yield what he required, but there was another path: the underground auction. The information he gathered was precise. The first days of both events were similar, but the underground auction leaned heavily toward Devil Dao materials and crafts. However, what truly mattered was the final day, when a private trade fair would be held for nascent soul-level cultivators. In previous years, truly rare treasures had appeared only there, offered quietly among the most powerful attendees. Yet entry was not simple. Only Devil Dao-affiliated cultivators, or those personally recommended, could participate. Han Li understood that without Old Man Fu's help, he would likely be excluded. Once he confirmed the details, he returned to the grand auction hall. Several days later, the final day arrived. To his relief, another material he needed finally appeared. After a fierce round of bidding, he secured it for over 100,000 spirit stones. Though costly, the purchase left him satisfied. The grand auction soon concluded, and the crowds began to disperse. Han Li left with the others, but instead of heading toward the city, he turned deeper into the market, eventually arriving at the Hidden Fortune Pavilion. This decision, made without any particular planning, unknowingly saved him from danger. At that exact moment, several Yin Sifting Sect elders reappeared at the market entrance, accompanied by the Soaring Skies Saintess. She stood silently with a small silver mirror in her hand. As cultivators exited the auction hall, she observed them one by one, occasionally frowning at the mirror's surface. The silver light reflected across her face, growing brighter over time, but she still remained silent. The elders around her exchanged uneasy looks. Their patience thinned with every moment she found nothing. Finally, the Saintess sighed. Her tone held disappointment. She could identify several cultivators hiding behind illusion techniques, yet none of them matched the person she was looking for. Her brows tightened as she spoke. It seemed impossible that he had left the capital without attending the auction. Ge Tianhao, however, was certain she was wrong. He reminded her that when they had first seen the man inside the city, he was staring directly at the Treasure Shine Hall, proving his intention to participate. The Saintess listened quietly, though her expression remained troubled. One elder wondered whether the clear sound mirror was truly as miraculous as rumored, or if the Saintess simply lacked familiarity with its use. But she sharply rejected the idea. The clear sound mirror was a legendary treasure of Taoist Seven Wonder, one of 7 profound tools renowned throughout the cultivation world. It did not require deep refinement to display its power. She had already confirmed its ability to pierce through many illusion techniques. Only a few rare methods could escape it completely. With this point clarified, Ge Tianhao reached a new conclusion. Their target must still be within the market. The 8 light peaks formation surrounding the area prevented anyone from leaving unnoticed. If the clear sound mirror could not reveal him, it could only mean he was inside, hidden among the buildings. The Saintess considered this and offered a plan. They would remain at the entrance while sending their disciples to scout the market interior. If he was there, he would eventually be found, or forced to reveal himself when he tried to leave. Orders were given, and a group of Yin Sifting Sect disciples disappeared into the market streets. Meanwhile, Han Li sat comfortably inside the hidden fortune pavilion, enjoying tea in the company of Elder Wang. The old man personally attended to him. Speaking with honest enthusiasm, they exchanged cultivation insights while waiting for the arrival of Old Man Fu. When the large elder finally entered the room, he joined the conversation without hesitation. The discussion lasted until sunset, leaving all three of them smiling with newfound knowledge. Once they left the building, Han Li's features blurred. His true appearance was replaced by the same sallow-faced cultivator disguise he had used before. Old Man Fu noticed the transformation with mild surprise, but said nothing. Then something unexpected happened. Rather than heading toward the market entrance, Old Man Fu led Han Li to a building called the Spirit Rinse Study. Confused, Han Li asked if this was their destination. Old Man Fu explained matter-of-factly. The building's owner was an old friend, and a temporary teleportation formation had been permitted within the market. It would take them straight to the location of the underground trade fair. Few people knew of the formation, and Han Li did not need to worry about violating any of the market's restrictions. Han Li nodded in understanding. Inside, the master of the Spirit Rinse Study greeted them. He was a man of fair skin and refined manners, with the unmistakable presence of a spell formation grandmaster. Han Li would have enjoyed speaking with him further, but time was short. They entered a hidden chamber and stepped into a small teleportation array. A shift of light later, they emerged inside a secluded cave, concealed somewhere in the southern mountains outside the Jin capital. Far in the distance, the city walls could still be seen against the dying light of evening. Around the same time, back at the market entrance, Ge Tianhao lifted his head to the darkening sky. He carefully considered their situation before addressing the Saintess. The underground trade fair was about to begin, and valuable treasures would likely appear there. Their disciples had found no trace of the target within the market. Perhaps, he suggested, they had misjudged his location. The man could have avoided the grand auction entirely, and since the Saintess had already missed the auction, she might benefit from joining the trade fair now. She hesitated, eyes drifting toward the market, but after a brief internal struggle, she accepted. Doing nothing gained nothing, and the trade fair might still yield valuable rewards. They exchanged final instructions. Two of the nascent soul elders remained behind to guard the entrance, while the others departed with the Saintess. Moments later, the group scattered into different directions, each pursuing their own plans. At that moment, the Yin Sifting Sect elders that had gathered together had split apart before they could encounter Han Li. Not long after the Yin Sifting Sect members departed, two cultivators appeared from a nearby building in a blur. They paused at the empty entrance of the market, exchanging silent thoughts through a secret voice transmission. The air still carried the presence of the departed Yin Sifting Sect members. But the two cultivators showed no hesitation. With a quiet nod to each other, they leapt into pursuit. One waved a small flag, and his body dissolved into a whirling cloud of purple smoke, streaking after the group led by Ge Tianhao. The other cultivator shot skyward as a streak of light, heading toward the Imperial City. Far from the market, near a nameless mountain close to the Jin capital, Han Li stood beside Old Man Fu, the elder who had invited him to the hidden trade fair. The teleportation circle beneath their feet had faded, leaving no trace of spiritual fluctuation. Han Li had checked carefully, his gaze sharp and composed, looking for any trick or trap. He found nothing unusual, and his heart eased slightly. Old Man Fu studied Han Li with a curious expression, a faint smile hidden beneath his calm tone. He asked whether Han Li had anything on his mind. Han Li replied quietly, choosing his words with care. There was no point in questioning his host. He had noticed Old Man Fu's decision to use teleportation rather than leave the market normally. But if the elder had done so, then there would be a reason. Han Li would not demand it from someone whose cultivation far surpassed his own. Old Man Fu did not take offense at Han Li's caution. In fact, it pleased him. A cultivator who survived as long as Han Li needed more than talent. The elder narrowed his eyes, then revealed the reason with a mysterious tone. He had received word that Yin Sifting Sect cultivators were waiting outside the market entrance, likely searching for Han Li after the earlier conflict. If Han Li encountered them again, the situation could turn violent, especially in such a public place. To avoid unnecessary entanglement, Old Man Fu chose teleportation. Han Li's heart trembled when he heard this. The elder clearly knew more than he revealed. Old Man Fu spoke slowly, almost like he was enjoying Han Li's reaction. If he had truly wanted to harm Han Li, he could have arranged an ambush here, in a secluded valley far from help. He also mentioned the confrontation Han Li had with Ge Tianhao at the Treasure Shrine Hall. The casual tone implied he had known all along. Han Li asked why the elder would help him, especially when doing so could offend the Yin Sifting Sect. The elder only chuckled. He was not afraid of the sect. On the contrary, he represented one of their rivals. His true identity was the enforcement elder of the Nine Serenities Sect, one of the 10 great devil Dao sects of the Great Jin. Their relationship with the Yin Sifting Sect was already hostile. Any chance to hinder their enemy was welcome. Hearing this, Han Li felt another wave of caution rise within him. Helping one power to escape another could lead to deeper obligations. When he asked why someone of that rank needed his assistance, Old Man Fu answered politely but firmly. It was a private matter that he could not ask his sect to help with. After the trade fair, he would explain. If Han Li did not agree, there would be no pressure. Han Li gave a careful smile. He agreed for now. It was better not to offend another great sect while one already bore a grudge against him. An empty promise would buy him time. The elder laughed and praised Han Li for being straightforward. Then, with a wave of his hand, he led the way. They flew swiftly, crossing more than 1,000 kilometers in a short span. Rugged mountains unfolded below them until they descended into a hidden valley thick with vegetation. The surroundings felt ordinary, the kind of place any traveler might pass without a second look. But with Han Li's senses sharpened, he could detect faint traces of cultivators nearby, hidden well enough that even he would have missed them alone. The stone cliff before them looked plain, stained by earth and moss. Old Man Fu retrieved a small white plate and flicked it toward the cliff. The stone swallowed it without sound. Moments later, bright yellow light shimmered across the cliff face, like a curtain being lifted, revealing a wide cave entrance more than 30 meters across. 2 green-robed cultivators stood guard, both of them in late core formation stage. They saluted respectfully when Old Man Fu arrived. One of them retrieved the white plate and asked Han Li's identity. Old Man Fu glared with impatience. He had already recommended Han Li, so there was no need for formality. The guard apologized quickly and handed Han Li a jade plate, engraved with the number 347. It allowed him to attend the next 4 trade fairs, though he had to pay 10,000 spirit stones for the privilege. Han Li felt his heart ache at the cost, but he paid without objection. Access to a secret trade fair among nascent soul cultivators was worth it. When Han Li commented on the large number, the guard explained that many would not attend each time. At most, around 200 would appear today. Even so, the gathering was significant. After the exchange, Old Man Fu led Han Li deeper inside. As they walked, Han Li remarked that the guards had impressive cultivation. From Old Man Fu's tone, it sounded as if they studied under the same master. The elder confirmed this. Their master was Yi Shishan, one of the 4 great vagrant cultivators of the Great Jin, a man whose reputation and mysterious abilities inspired awe. He had been in late nascent soul stage for many years, and his cultivation was immeasurable. Old Man Fu had once seen him slay a powerful demon beast with ease. The elder spoke with admiration, as if recalling a legend. Han Li then asked who the other person was who had a chance to reach the rare deity transformation stage. Old Man Fu answered with a somewhat bitter smile. The other was monk Jademoon of the Buddhist cleansing fire sect, a prodigy who reached late nascent soul within a mere 400 years. Compared to figures like that, even veteran cultivators like Old Man Fu felt ordinary. Han Li responded with humility, complimenting the elder's cultivation. Old Man Fu only shook his head. He had been stuck at his current level for more than 3 centuries, with no hope of a breakthrough. Yet, He looked at Han Li with a knowing expression, pointing out that Han Li's recent advance into mid-nascent soul might lead to greater heights. Han Li laughed stiffly, not wanting to reveal anything further. Their conversation ended as a brilliant white light opened ahead. The cavern expanded into a massive underground hall filled with cultivators. Countless spiritual auras mixed together, creating a heavy pressure in the air. Han Li's excitement rose. Opportunities like this were rare. Meanwhile, far from the hidden gathering, Ge Tianhao had a very different atmosphere around him. More than 50 kilometers away, black spiritual energy surged from his body like violent flames. He held an unfamiliar cultivator by the head, his hand clamped like iron. The victim convulsed, eyes trembling in agony as Ge Tianhao used a forbidden soul-searching technique. Two others, the Endless Sky Saintess and a middle-aged black-robed cultivator, watched silently as the body twitched and warped under the strain. After a short moment, the man's body convulsed violently and dark blood streamed from his nose. He fell lifelessly to the ground. Ge Tianhao's expression twisted into a frown. With a casual gesture, black fire consumed the corpse, erasing it completely. Then he closed his eyes, diving into the fragments of memory he had extracted. The Saintess waited until he finished. When Ge Tianhao finally opened his eyes, her voice broke the silence. When Ge Tianhao eventually opened his eyes, the Saintess asked, "What was his identity? Why was he stealthily following us?" "He's a cultivator from the Ye Clan." Ge Tianhao said. "The Ye Clan? The Imperial Ye Clan?" the Endless Sky Saintess said with surprise. Ge Tianhao's tone deepened, the weight of the discovery pressing over the three figures suspended in the sky. He revealed that the man he soul-searched was a hired vagrant cultivator recruited by the Imperial Ye Clan, and that the person's appearance matched the mysterious target they were pursuing. For a moment, even the Saintess appeared shaken, realizing that the youth they sought might be tied to the most powerful clan in the Great Jin. The Saintess questioned the possibility of such a connection. Could the man truly be an elder of the Imperial Clan? What was the relationship between the cultivator they chased and the Ye Clan? Ge Tianhao could only shake his head. The vagrant had known little. He had been sent to tail their group, yet lacked any deeper knowledge of his employer's plans. Still, the implication alone was dangerous. If the man really possessed the identity of a Ye Clan elder, then their sect would be stepping into a political storm. Trying to ease the concern, the Saintess spoke calmly, almost amused. The Imperial family, she reminded them, was supported by many of the great sects, including the Yin Sifting Sect itself. Their relationship was complicated, but not terrifying. Ge Tianhao only sighed. The Ye Clan was not simply royalty. They were a hidden power, with 7 elders in the nascent soul realm, along with countless vagrant cultivators secretly cultivated by the clan. Their real strength surpassed a normal noble family and rivaled major sects in the cultivation world. More important was the fact that the one following them held a strange flag capable of concealing pursuit. Without the Saintess's clear sound mirror and her refined senses, they may never have noticed. The Saintess accepted the compliment with grace, explaining that she simply sensed something strange the moment they left the market. The mysterious flag and the ability to veil movement meant someone highly skilled was involved. Her eyes sharpened as she asked the crucial question. Would the Yin Sifting Sect still honor its agreement with the Endless Sky Temple? The Saintess made it clear she expected security. After a pause, Ge Tianhao laughed, casting aside doubt. His sect possessed nothing to fear, even from the Imperial family. The matter involved their sect's signature treasure and the fate of their enforcement elder. There was no plan to retreat from the agreement. The Saintess nodded, visibly relieved, and the three shot into the sky, leaving streaks of light behind them. Not long after they vanished, ripples of spiritual energy flickered nearby. A young man in azure robes emerged from thin air, his expression icy. He stared into the distance, where the three had gone, and smiled with cold hatred. He knew the sects were working together, but he did not intend to interfere now. Their hunt would eventually draw out the person he truly sought, Youth Han. The young cultivator murmured to himself, swearing vengeance for the death of his main soul, before disappearing without a trace. Inside the hidden mountain hall, Han Li sat surrounded by swirling green mist. His face was obscured by the talisman attached to his robe, hiding his presence and identity completely. The hall was circular, dim, and vast, with over 400 seats arranged around an open stone floor. Dozens of other cultivators stood or sat in silence, each shrouded in mists of different colors. Han Li tested the mysterious talisman silently. When he released his powerful spiritual sense, he found that the mist resisted his probing effortlessly. Even if he used his full strength, he guessed the barrier would not yield. His attention shifted, and he soon realized the hall was covered by a massive spell formation. Although it lacked deadly force, it synchronized perfectly with the talismans. As long as one wore the talisman while inside the formation, a veil of light would shroud their body, preventing even the strongest spiritual sense from seeing through it. Sitting quietly, Han Li reflected on the technique with admiration. The talisman and formation had been designed together, creating a perfect concealment environment. In such a place, even eccentric cultivators with rare treasures would feel safe showing their possessions without fear of assassination or theft. The anonymity was the foundation of this private trade meet. Han Li felt his earlier worries about the Yin Sifting Sect vanish. Here, no identity mattered. All that mattered was what one brought to trade. He rested back in his chair, placing his jade identity plate on the small stone table before him. Time passed, and more cultivators arrived through the teleportation formation, their bodies vanishing into mist as soon as they entered. When Han Li next opened his eyes, there were nearly 200 people present. At the center of the hall, a 10-meter wide white jade table appeared, glowing softly. The table flashed, and a silhouette wrapped entirely in white light materialized behind it. His voice was calm and authoritative. He declared that the appointed time had come, and the trade meet would begin. With a wave of his sleeve, 4 storage pouches dropped onto the table, causing a ripple of excitement through the shrouded crowd. He explained the rules. The trade meet would focus on rare materials. Though ancient treasures could appear if they were truly valuable, items could be bought with spirit stones or traded with equivalent treasures. However, this time there was a major difference. A mysterious client had entrusted the organizers with a grand treasure. This treasure would not be sold for spirit stones outright. It would only be traded for a few extremely rare materials. If no one had what was needed, only then would a spirit stone auction begin. Immediately, someone in the crowd called out and asked what the treasure was and what materials it required. If a participant had unknowingly traded away the needed items earlier, they would regret it. The white silhouette only laughed. The treasure, he said, could not be described casually. When it appeared, they would understand its value. As for the materials needed, they were things that no cultivator would willingly give up in the first place. His tone created a ripple of curiosity among the audience. The idea of a treasure so rare that even powerful cultivators would hesitate to trade for it stirred the hall. Then, without further explanation, the silhouette opened the first storage pouch. A faint black glow appeared, revealing an object shaped like a small date. It was called a Yin Jujube, born from a human tomb on the alignment of a Yin year, a Yin month, and a Yin day, a phenomenon that occurred only once every 300 years. It had been refined for 49 days with the hatred of a vengeful spirit, making it either a pill in itself or a powerful medicine material. Han Li was stunned. He had never heard of such a thing. The bidding exploded instantly. 120,000, 140,000, 145,000 spirit stones. All the voices came from cultivators shrouded in a black haze, clearly aligned with the Devil Dao. The bidding escalated rapidly. In the end, the Yin Jujube was sold for 190,000 spirit stones. An astonishing price. Next came a block of crimson metal the size of a man's palm. Blood Yang iron, refined from Scarlet Sun iron and the primal souls of 3 fire attribute core formation cultivators. The seller announced a starting bid of 150,000. Han Li recognized the material vaguely. It was one of the rare ingredients needed for refining powerful yin fire treasures. Only a few participants bid, but their wealth was terrifying. The final price reached 250,000 spirit stones. More rare items followed one after another: Ghostblight grass, stones saturated with spiritual energy of death, and herbs infused with ancient yin essence. Each item sold for enormous amounts, far beyond what had appeared at the grand auction previously. Han Li touched his storage pouch and let out a silent sigh. Even though he possessed valuable treasures of his own, he had not expected such fierce competition. As the prices soared higher and higher, he worried whether his spirit stones would be enough to secure what he truly needed. Then the seller revealed another item. Jade rubber, he announced. A rare spiritual wood produced once every 1,000 years from a jade oak tree. It could be used to refine fantastical treasures and was a perfect material for mechanical puppets. The minimum bid would be 120,000 spirit stones. Before he finished speaking, a white gelatinous object appeared in his hand. Han Li felt a sudden shock tear through his mind. As though struck by lightning, every thought vanished. His mouth opened before he could think. 150,000. The words burst out of him without hesitation, his voice cutting through the silent hall as dozens of masked cultivators turned their gazes toward him. When the white silhouette took out a white gelatinous object, Han Li suddenly felt lightning strike through his mind and he shouted a bid without hesitation. Among nascent soul cultivators, there were only a few that still had an interest in refining puppets and odd treasures. As such, Han Li only had to compete with 4 people over the item, and managed to win the bid for 170,000 spirit stones. Much to his delight, Han Li sat quietly in the green mist that concealed his identity. But beneath the veil he allowed himself a faint smile. The item he had just secured was a rare material for constructing advanced puppets. Something he had sought for a long time. Although the price was steep, the value it would bring to his refinement plans made the cost worthwhile. His heart felt light, and he leaned back, letting the atmosphere of the trade meet wash over him. The auction continued with the same intensity. The white silhouette standing behind the jade table brought out more treasures from the remaining storage pouches. Each time the table flashed with light, a new rare material would appear: ancient treasures, exotic metals, spiritual herbs older than a millennium. 2 more items caught Han Li's eye. The first stirred a ripple of excitement in him, and he bid repeatedly until he gained it for 190,000 spirit stones. The crowd murmured at the expensive purchase, but Han Li remained calm. If something could advance his cultivation or improve his tools, he would not let it slip away. The second treasure, however, was famous, the kind of material that only appeared in legends. Many cultivators fought fiercely for it, pushing the price higher and higher. Han Li remained unmoved. He needed it, and in the end, he secured it for 310,000 spirit stones. Only when the jade box fell into his hand did he exhale softly, feeling the weight of the expense. By the time the white silhouette emptied the final pouch, Han Li had spent more than half of his spirit stones. His bag felt much lighter, and although he had gained excellent treasures, a quiet worry stirred in him. If more of the materials he required appeared later, he might not have the power to compete. Fortunately, no more items he needed were brought out. When the white silhouette was satisfied with the results, he swept his sleeve and spoke in a calm voice, announcing the end of the official auction. The atmosphere of the hall shifted from tense bidding to open-ended trading. He explained the rules clearly. From here onward, cultivators could trade directly with each other. The organizers would not interfere, nor would they take responsibility for fake goods or bad negotiations. Only one rule applied. At the end, each participant must pay 10,000 spirit stones for using the venue's services. After speaking, he sat cross-legged by the side of the hall and entered meditation, leaving the cultivators to their own devices. Immediately, streaks of colored light flashed forward. Cultivators rushed to the jade table, eager to present their goods first. But one streak of red outpaced the others, arriving before anyone else could land. The figure within the red light cupped his hands respectfully and, with a cheerful tone, declared that he would go first. Seeing this, the other cultivators returned to their seats with silent disappointment. Han Li watched with amusement. It was clear that being first held advantages, especially when exchanging common rare items. Those who needed widely used materials were likely to succeed early, while those seeking obscure treasures would struggle later. For Han Li, His missing materials were extremely rare, ones that even eccentric nascent soul cultivators might not possess. There was no need to rush. The red silhouette displayed several materials useful for pill refinement, offering them in exchange for certain herbs and pills. After a brief round of negotiation, he traded almost everything successfully and left with a visible air of satisfaction. The next few cultivators experienced similar fortune. Rare metals, spirit bones, and ancient talisman papers changed hands, and pleased voices echoed through the quiet hall. Then the difficulty emerged. A yellow silhouette tried to exchange a sparkling blue metal for an ice attribute material. His voice sounded confident at first, but after asking 3 times, no one responded. The hall remained silent, and he backed away dejectedly. Han Li sighed inwardly. Even rare materials were useless if no one wanted them, or if the price was unreasonable. One by one, more cultivators approached the stage, only to find no interested partners. The trading gradually shifted from excitement to frustration. Some secretly negotiated through voice transmission, but most agreements failed. Without the right match, even priceless treasures could be worthless. Only a few succeeded, and Han Li was among them. When his turn to bargain came, he calmly exchanged several thousand-year-old spirit herbs and high-grade demon cores for puppet materials. Although any one of these items could be purchased at a market, assembling so many at once would be nearly impossible. His trade partner hesitated only briefly before accepting. In the end, Han Li obtained 2 more required puppet materials. Now, only 2 remained missing. Materials so rare they were almost mythical. Common eccentrics would never use them for trade unless the exchange was truly irresistible. Inside his mind, the voice of Monarch Soul Divergence echoed softly. The ancient spirit asked what Han Li planned to offer next, reminding him that without something truly extraordinary, he might never obtain the final pieces. Han Li smiled inwardly. In a hall full of Devil Dao cultivators, he already possessed something they valued more than anything else. He would part with it, if necessary. His determination carried a sharp edge. The puppet design Monarch Soul Divergence promised him was powerful beyond imagination, worth the sacrifice of even the rarest material. So when the next cultivator left the stage empty-handed, Han Li stood calmly and walked toward the table. All eyes turned to him. He raised his hand, and 2 exquisite jade boxes appeared on the table. He did not open them immediately. His voice grew hoarse and disguised as he addressed the hall. He announced that the boxes contained 2 Devil Essence diamonds, refinement material used for the creation of the feared Devil Dragon Blades. In exchange, he requested elemental jade and brilliant glow gem. When he flicked his hand, both jade boxes opened. Inside, dim black crystals sat like condensed night, each several inches long, radiating a faint dark aura. The sight froze the hall for a heartbeat, then chaos erupted. Voices rose in disbelief. Some shouted that such materials could not exist anymore. Others claimed he was lying. A low murmur spread through the hidden silhouettes, filled with desire, fear, and awe. The legends of Devil Essence diamonds were well known, even among righteous cultivators. For the Devil Dao, they were treasures on par with divine artifacts. The disturbance grew, but Han Li remained steady. He declared with confidence that if anyone produced the items he wanted, he would allow them to inspect the diamonds themselves. His tone silenced the doubts, and the hall became quiet once more. Now, every cultivator stared at the diamonds with hungry, calculating eyes. Elemental jade and brilliant glow gems were also rare, nearly impossible to find, but still less valuable than what Han Li offered. His proposal was bold, but tempting. Then something unexpected occurred. The white silhouette, the master of the trade meet himself, suddenly spoke. He admitted that he possessed a brilliant glow gem, but had not taken it out earlier due to its precious nature. If allowed to inspect the diamonds, he would have someone fetch the gem immediately. Han Li felt genuine surprise. He nodded calmly, agreeing without hesitation. The white silhouette sent a streak of fiery light upward, passing through the ceiling. Then he rose from his seat and approached the table. Everyone watched with held breath. The white silhouette lifted one of the Devil Essence diamonds with practiced familiarity. A thin stream of white flame emerged from his mouth, a nascent soul flame. known for its purity, but the flame failed to penetrate the dark aura surrounding the diamond. His eyes brightened, and he tried again with a ball of glacial blue energy. It spread over the gem but could not freeze it. Finally, he extended a finger and injected a stream of devilish energy. The gem absorbed it entirely without reaction. The white silhouette stared at the gem, and excitement flickered in his voice. "It's true, a genuine devil essence diamond. I want it." As soon as he said this, a masked cultivator wearing gray robes suddenly appeared 10 meters away. He saluted the white silhouette and handed over a jade box before disappearing from sight. In this episode, we saw Han Li navigating a complex web of schemes and power as he dealt with powerful sects like the Nine Serenities Sect and the Yin Sifting Sect. He skillfully avoided ambushes and learned the true strength and background of Old Man Fu, the enforcement elder of the Nine Serenities Sect, understanding that alliances and favors in the cultivation world are always tied to important requests. We also followed Ge Tianhao and the Endless Sky Saintess as they uncovered a mysterious pursuer from the powerful Imperial Ye Clan, revealing the depth of intrigue and hidden threats that loom over Han Li and his companions. Meanwhile, Han Li entered the secretive trade meet, observing how cultivators use talismans and spell formations to hide their identities and trade rare materials safely. He carefully navigated the auction and trading hall, acquiring the most crucial materials he needed, including the rare devil essence diamonds. Through clever strategy and careful exchanges, Han Li secured the resources required for his ultimate goals, while also revealing his formidable knowledge of valuable treasures, drawing the attention and respect of the most skilled cultivators in the hall. This episode highlighted not only the intense competition for rare materials among powerful nascent soul cultivators but also Han Li's intelligence, patience, and strategic foresight. Each step he took brought him closer to mastering the tools and treasures necessary for his cultivation journey, while also revealing the complex relationships, rivalries, and hidden powers in the world of Devil Dao. What happens next? Stay tuned for the next episode of Immortal's Journey to Immortality. If you enjoyed this episode or found it exciting, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to receive the latest updates on Han Li's journey. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.